Y'all already know. It's Original Lone Wolf coming back at y'all, man. I'm going to go ahead and knock part 2 to this video out. I'm going to get this out the way. This will give you something else to reconnect to when you go back and study the first video that I just did yesterday. Because you guys got to study this shit, man. This be the reason why y'all keep hearing me tell you about the trained ear and the trained eye. You have to study, man. That's the reason for why it's so difficult to pull the wool over certain people's eyes. Because they trained themselves and they studied. What I want to do real quick, I want to show y'all this. This is called a distributorless ignition system, also known as a DIS, right? Now, there's a reason for why I'm showing y'all this, okay? A distributorless ignition. First off, cars back in the day used to come with distributor caps, right? And just to give you a brief synopsis of what it is, the distributor cap is a part of that electrical system that controls ignition timing as well as the spark plugs. Keep in mind, the primary source of power is the battery. All right. It doesn't matter if you drive an SUV, a sedan, a pickup truck, or whatever. That battery that's under the hood of your vehicle is the primary battery, is the primary power source. Meaning if something happens to that battery, the car will not work. Period. It's just not going to work. So back in the day, cars used to have distributor caps, right? The cap itself will have prongs on them, metal prongs. And one prong will represent one piston or one cylinder. Okay. So you could have 4, you could have 6, you could have 8 or, 10, 12, however many cylinders the car had. And on those prongs, there's supposed to be a spark plug wire that would attach to one end of those prongs, and the other end of the wire will go onto the top of the spark plug itself. And like how I said, what that does is it gives you the spark. It sends the power to the spark plugs to get a spark plugs to power. And it also deals with timing. Not all of your cylinders are going to fire at the same time. They actually fire in an order. Cylinder 1 may be first, cylinder 3 may be second, cylinder 5 may be third, cylinder 4 may be fifth, so forth and so on, depending on how many pistons you got. You got 4-cylinder cars, which represents 4 pistons. You got 3-cylinder cars, believe it or not. You have 5-cylinder cars. Okay, you have V8s. Okay, so it really depends on the engine. And the same thing goes for your own personal vehicle. Whatever you driving now, pickup truck, sedan, SUV, crossover, whatever the hell they label in your vehicle. The same thing goes for you. Based on how many cylinders your car engine is equipped with, you would need one prong and one spark plug for the distributor, right? Now, they are using distributorless ignition systems, meaning they've gotten away from the analog. Okay? Matter of fact, let me see if I can... distributor. I know I ain't spelling it right, but But let me go to Google then. Y'all getting on my damn nerve. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of a distributor cap. I know I'm not spelling it right. There it is. Okay. So these are an example of what distributor caps look like. Like this is a good example right here. See this one? See the prongs that I was telling you that's on the top? One of them represents a cylinder. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which the one in the middle should be the primary power source. The main battery source, it should be the one in the middle. That should only be 8 cylinders. 2, 4, 6, 8, and then you got that one in the cylinder. I've never heard of a 9-cylinder car. But the point that I'm trying to make is that one end of your spark plug wire goes on one of these prongs. The other end of the wire goes onto the prong that's on top of the spark plug itself. And like how I said, it helps with giving your spark plugs the power source. And it also helps with ignition timing, meaning the order that your pistons are firing in. You know what I'm saying? It controls and helps prevent misfires. You know what I'm saying? Or if you got a cylinder that's not on given the right amount of compression, Damn, what is the term? It's another term for it. Oh, I can't think of what the term is. There's a term for when one of your pistons ain't either is not firing in the order it's supposed to fire in, or the compression is low inside of that cylinder. Okay, the distributor caps help regulate all of that. So now a DIS, which is a distributorless ignition system, takes this away. This thing you're looking at on the picture, on the screen, it take that away. You no longer need that. What you're looking at on screen is analog. Remember, I told y'all yesterday in the video I did, the first video, you can't hack nothing analog. If you want to corrupt something that's analog, or you want to change it or pervert it or whatever, you got to be up on it. You got to have your hands on it. You got to come to that source in order to make that happen, because it's analog. It can't be hacked. When you go 100% digital, you can fuck with that component sitting in your boxer shorts down in your mother's basement with a laptop. You see what I'm saying? You can't hack this, what you're looking at on the screen. You can't tamper with the ignition by way of a laptop, you know what I'm saying, some sort of fucking tablet or whatever. You can't corrupt what you're looking at on the screen. But when you take what's on the screen away and you replace it with a digital component, you can corrupt the shit out of that, and you don't even have to be nowhere near the component. Okay, so let me go back. I want to read just a little bit of it, and I want to get to the point where I brought all this up. It say the DIS, also known as a distributorless ignition system, is an ignition system which various induction coils replace the distributor of the electronic ignition system. The ICU, also known as the ignition control unit, as well as the ECU, which is the engine control unit or an electronic control unit, either one, will take care of the timing and the spark. Remember, I told you that your pistons fire in a certain order. You may have a 6-cylinder engine, but not all 6 of those pistons are firing at the same time. It has an order. And the firing ignition time is nanoseconds. You hear me? Nanoseconds. Before you can breathe, it's already on this next piston. Before you can exhale, before you can blink, it's already on this next cycle. That's how fast it works. Okay, so it tells you this will take care of the timing and the spark. This makes the whole DIS much more accurate as well as efficient. Or at least that's what they tell us. What they're really saying is, well, we think this computer is better than what human beings have set up in an analog way. That's what they're saying. And I have a hard time believing that, because people built both. They built the old way of doing it, and they built this new shit with the computers. So I beg to differ. In some cases, it is better, but in some cases, it's not. It's like how I try to tell people, if this digital shit was so good and it was so perfect like everybody say, why is it that in today, right now as we speak, NASCAR, Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt and all them other motherfuckers, why are they still running carburetors on them goddamn cars? Huh? Why is it in the NHRA to this day, and I'm talking about right now as y'all listen to this video, why is it that to this day in the NHRA, they still using big ass blowers and shit? How is that possible? How is it that the computer system is so much better than the analog shit when Top Fuel and the funny cars is producing 12,000 horsepower? 12,000 horsepower. These are the fastest cars on the planet. The only thing that's going to catch it or outrun it is another motherfucker just like it. So how can digital shit be that much better? Well, the fact of the matter is, it's like everything else. It has its good, it has its bad, and, the whole 9 yards. But to just strictly try to make it seem like digital is just 100% better, that is not true. And that's exactly what they're trying to convince people of. Hence, the electric cars. Anytime you hear me talking about sensors, anytime you hear me talking about digital, and it has something to do with cars, the first thing that should pop into your fucking head is electric cars. This is what he's alluding to. Like I told y'all in the video I did yesterday, the Cybertruck and the Tesla Model 3s and all the rest of them, those are rolling signal boxes. All it's doing is transmitting and receiving signals. That's all it's doing. Okay, so now, I wanted y'all to see this part so we can get into the next thing that I'm finna do. So this is I'm only gonna play a little small part of this because these punk motherfuckers will try to give me a copyright strike. Fair use. I don't own this. This is just for educational purposes. I'm trying to give my viewers an idea, and particularly the women who subscribe to my channel, a general idea of how things work in terms of technology and what it is that they do with these sensors and all this other shit. Now, this particular scene is Paul Walker and Tyrese. They went to Ludacris' shop after they got the Evo and the Mitsubishi Eclipse from the FBI, right? Now, Paul Walker know they tracking him. He's going to Ludacris to try to get something done about it, right? Because he know they tracking him. He used to be a cop, remember? Listen to what this little Asian Mongol or whatever fuck he is, listen what he about to tell them. Listen to this.
All right, man, whatever, man. Show him around real quick, all right? I'll be up there in a minute. Thanks. Sure. All right, who want a chance to win their money back?
So, Jimmy, so what's up? You ever seen anything like this before?
Nah, both of them are wired up like I never seen before.
What?
Yeah, man, they got us wired with GPS. That's why Markham knew we were going to be at that impound lot.
Yo, you the master mechanic. Why don't you just yank that shit up out of there then?
I'll try, but this ain't low jack. The DIS box, the engine management system, hell, the main harness. The GPS is spited into all of that.
Hey, tell me.
They routed the GPS into the fucking main harness. You have God knows how many feet of wires in your car. The bigger the car, the more wires you tend to typically have. The more luxurious your vehicle is, the more wires you tend to have. Shit like Cadillac Escalades, shit like Range Rovers and shit like that. Those vehicles have miles of wires in it. Like miles of wires, you wouldn't believe. Okay? And all of those wires that go all throughout the entire vehicle is connected to the main harness. The main harness is up front on the block. And any other harness or any other wire that's coming from the main harness is going toward the rear of the vehicle. Whether if it's the shit that give you your heated and cool seats, whether if it's the wires that give you the electronic tilt. You know what I'm saying? Like some people don't have electronic analog tilt steering wheels. Some people can adjust their steering wheel electronically by pressing a little button and then moving, opposed to releasing a little lever and pulling the steering wheel out or pushing it down and all that other shit. Anything that's electrical or digital, it takes some sort of wire. Okay? So you just heard my man tell them, like, man, that shit routed into everything. Now, Fast and the Furious 2 came out in what, 2001, 2003 or some shit? That was a long fucking time ago. Think about what they're doing today. Like I told y'all yesterday in the video, at least when it came down to these motherfuckers in their cars, at least you still needed a key to start the ignition. It wasn't a push start. You see what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make is, look how far technology has came. Even back in 2003, bro looking at them like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. And the reason why he telling them he'll try is because he's going to fuck something up trying to take it out. And you have to replace it. Or the car's not going to run. And not only will it not run right, it won't run at all. That's why he told them, like, man, that shit tied into this, and this. Everything that he told them that the GPS was wired into, if you try to take that shit out, those components he told you that the GPS is wired into is not going to work, which means the car ain't going to work. So I'm going to rewind that, just that one little part, so y'all can understand this.
Yo, you the master mechanic. Why don't you just yank that shit up out of there then?
I'll try, but this ain't low jack. The DIS box, the engine management system, hell, the main harness. The GPS is...
The DIS box, we just read that. I just read to y'all what that was. It's a distributorless ignition system. That means it's digital. He said the engine management system. That's the shit that gives you the proper idle. That's the part that gives you the proper RPMs based on how hard you press the gas pedal. That's how the engine knows to speed up or to slow down, etc. It's wired into all of that. If you take that shit out, the car's not going to work. You're going to have to replace that shit. You're going to have to bypass it. And the way that they set it up, it may take them days or even weeks to get those fucking parts to make that car run properly. Now, keep in mind, Paul Walker and Tyrese got them 2 cars from the FBI. Keep that in mind. So now California wants to make this big push, right, to ban classic cars. But in reality, that's just the first step of their master plan. Y'all already know that. In reality, what they want to do is ban any cars that ain't like the cars that's coming down the pike. So I want y'all to listen to what this motherfucker right here is talking about in regards to this. You know, some sort of bullshit Senate commission thingy or whatever the case may be. Y'all know how this shit go. But listen to this. Oh, well, we don't want to listen to that. It's a damn commercial.
Objection. The gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, the California Democrats are at it again, doubling down on radical green agenda and threatening personal freedom. A state-funded study has suggested a ban now on gas-powered classic cars from public roads, claiming they're too harmful to the environment. We're talking parade cars, we're talking hobby cars, the stuff people enjoy, the stuff that politicians like to ride in parades in when they're running for re-election. Let's be clear. Classic cars are a lot more than just vehicles. They're pieces of our history, symbols of culture, and a source of pride for countless Californians. It doesn't stop there. These same people trying to do these bans, whose green policies could hike gas prices by as much as 85 cents, 90 cents a gallon, they want to force you into an electric vehicle while our power grid can't even handle a summer.
What the hell does charging a person an extra 80 or 90 cent per gallon of gas got to do with any fucking thing? Oh, he just said it. Damn, that's right, because they want to force you into an electric vehicle. And this is like how I told one of the, I believe it was a woman who commented on my video I did yesterday, part 1. And she was expressing how she's still holding on to a very old pickup truck that she have. And it's like how I told her, I say, that's the reason for why used cars are so expensive. Because they know you got motherfuckers like out here like me and her that ain't trying to, I'm not trying to buy no 2025, 2028, and I don't want none of that shit. And you talking to a person who's a race enthusiast, a car enthusiast, and the whole 9 yards. I can come around the corner on a forklift sideways, straight up, on a fucking forklift. That's how much into racing and how much of a car enthusiast that I am. And even with that being said, I don't want none of this shit. This is why used cars are so expensive. Not only used cars, but to get your car fixed. It all makes sense once you understand that. Here it is, your local mom and pop mechanic places, they just as high as the fucking dealer. Right now, it don't matter who you go to. It don't matter if you go to a dealer or just a local Midas or, you know, a Pep Boys or something. They all charging you dealer prices to get your car fixed. It's all a push. It's all a push, y'all, to get you along with the agenda. Okay? If, you know how they say, well, we're not going to force anybody. We can't force nobody to do anything. If you don't do what they want you to do, and all of a sudden your life becomes increasingly difficult because you didn't choose to do it, that means they forcing you to do it. I'm going to say that one more time. When you hear these motherfuckers tell you, oh, you have rights and, you know, you can make your own choice and we can't force you to do anything. But yet your life becomes difficult right after you decided you didn't want to do whatever it is they wanted you to do. Now all of a sudden your life becomes difficult. That means they're forcing you to do it. So don't listen to these motherfuckers when they tell, you know, we can't force anybody to do anything. Well, then what are you doing then by making people's life hard? How is that not forcing them? You don't think making a motherfucker spend an extra 80 or 90 cents a gallon for gas because they got a fucking 1968 Mustang? You don't think that that's forcing them into the realm you want them to go in? I say it does. And it's like I told you, the band that they trying to push in California, that's just the beginning. They talking about, Hemi Cooters and shit and Road Runners and old ass GTXs and GTOs and shit from back in the 60s. Well, that's what they making it seem like now. But pretty soon your 85 through 89 IROC is gonna be on that list. Your motherfucking 84 through 88 Grand National GNXs is gonna be on them lists. The old ass GMC Typhoon and Cyclone and shit gonna be on that list. Your 5.0s, your 1992 through 1998 Camaros and shit, they all gonna be on that list. Like how I told y'all, my car, I got a 15-year-old Acura. And it was like, it's funny, right? Because, real quick, I wanted this car, man, and I had test drove another one that was the same model, make and model, but it was like 4 years older. And when I seen the one that I got, the one that I actually bought, when I saw that one, the ad for that one, I jumped out my seat, hit them up, made sure that they still had it. Woo. And I think it was either that day or the next day I was at the dealership, right? So after I got the motherfucking shit, I said, damn, I don't know why the fuck I did this. I know why I did this because I liked the car, I wanted it. But it's like, damn, I know what they trying to do to people who own old ass cars, right? Like mine, 15 years old. I already know what the government trying to do. Then on top of that, my car is rare. That particular Acura is rare. And I'm talking about worldwide rare. Not just in America, just all over the world. The car is rare. And that particular model was built in Japan. They didn't build it in the Acura factory they have here in America and the one that they got down in Mexico, right? That particular model was built in Japan. So I'm like, shit, not only am I going to be at their mercy if something go wrong with this motherfucker, people like me are already under attack because of what the government is trying to do. You know what I'm saying? With these cars. And I'm like, damn, the only reason for why I ain't tripping too hard on it is because I work on cars. You know what I'm saying? The only real issue I have is doing major transmission and major engine work because, for one, I don't have all the tools. I don't have, engine hoists and all that other shit. And plus, I live in an apartment complex. So it's like, I ain't going to have nowhere to put the motor. Where the fuck I'm going to put it when I snatch it out the car? You feel me? I ain't going to be able to, where the fuck I'm going to put it? So as long as I don't have major transmission and major engine problems, I'm okay. I can handle anything else. I'll put my own shocks and struts and shit on. I replace my own fucking control arms and shit. I don't need no fucking help doing that. I do my own tune-up. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons for why I did it. But even people like myself, my point of bringing all that up is I am being threatened. I am under attack for what it is that they're doing. From what you all are listening to on screen, I'm one of those people that are under attack. The person that commented on my video yesterday, I think she said she had a 90-something pickup truck or something that she ain't trying to get rid of. People like her are under attack. You know what I'm saying? They're under attack because it's like, no, you can't have that, nigga. You need a new shit. You need the 2025 joint. And that person is over there like, but I don't want that. I don't want that shit. I don't want you motherfuckers looking all up in my nose. You can see how many boogers I got and shit. I don't want any of this. So people like me and that person that commented on my video yesterday, we're under attack. Literally. So I want you guys to understand it ain't just y'all. I don't be on here just talking shit to y'all. I'm a part of this shit too. But anyway.
Heat wave. Meanwhile, the leads pushing these bans are still flying in private jets off to meetups and overseas and cruising on their big yachts, which spew far more emissions than the classic cars they want to outlaw. It's not about saving the planet, it's about control.
And see, that's the same thing that goes for gun control. Now, they've had that conversation, like I told you, with Governor Fat Ass here in Illinois. Like I told y'all, I was shocked that somebody even presented it to him. But they were like, hey, man, you trying to ban some of the same firearms that your security staff have. What makes it okay for you to be protected and have access to that type of stuff, and your security team having access to that kind of stuff, but regular old people don't have a right to have access to it? That nigga was like, whatever, and just kept it trucking. I was like, damn, that's some bold shit. You got some nuts on you. He just completely blew it off. So again, it's about control. Don't this sound like doing the COVID thing? Hey man, you got to stand 10 feet apart and, Yeah, I know you used to having sex with your old lady and shit, but you might get the COVID and y'all can't go to parties. You can't go take her out to dinner and all this other shit. How many video clips did we see of motherfuckers like that puss ass nigga Boris Johnson? Barack Obama had his 50th or 60th birthday party or something and the whole fucking joint packed. You seeing these rich assholes on private jets and yachts and shit, kicking in this shit, no mask on, motherfuckers sitting in niggas' laps and all kind of shit. Doing the COVID thing. But they telling you, oh, nigga, you got to stand 10 feet apart. You got to sleep in a separate room from your wife now. Right? It's about control, people. How long are y'all going to continue to let these motherfuckers control y'all? I understand now what my purpose is. I realize now why I used to get into it with all of those teachers and shit when I was in school. I realize now why they kicked me out of Vanderpool with Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? I realize it now. Because I was supposed to graduate with that nigga out of 8th grade, you know what I'm saying? But they kicked me out. We was in Miss Brennan class in 6th grade. And then we was in Musette Morgan class for 7th grade, which she's still my Facebook friend to this day. You know what I'm saying? And then after my 7th grade year, they was like, no, this nigga gotta go. And I used to get into it all the time. Like how I told y'all, I used to be real good in reading comprehension and language arts and all that shit. I should be real good at that. I had a real strong comprehension level when I was, in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, 10th grade, shit like that. And I used to get into it with a lot of the teachers, when it was time to do book reports or they wanted you to write some sort of essay and, they wanted me to critique what the author was saying or, how you read a paragraph and they, Tavares, can you stand up and tell the class what the author meant by that passage? And when I got up and said what I thought that motherfucker meant, all hell broke loose. And then when I broke down the reason for why I was saying I meant that this motherfucker meant this, even more hell broke loose because the teacher couldn't understand. Like, you little motherfucker, where are you getting this from? How do you know this? And it's like, it's simple. All you got to do is read this shit. You can tell. Again, it's kind of similar to what Red tell you about chewing up the meat and spitting out the bone and shit. It's similar to that. I was able to do that shit when I was 11, 12 years old. I could decipher between the two, which is what that statement, chew up the meat and spit out the bones, mean. You got to be able to distinguish between the two, read between the lines, etc. You know what I'm saying? That's what it means. And it's like I was able to do that at a very, very young age. I could take these bullshit books these motherfuckers write and destroy the author for this fucking shit he just published. Destroy his ass in a book report. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand that when you have that type of mindset and you like, no, this is control. No, this don't seem right. No, this is about something else. There's a bigger agenda going on. You have to understand that 9 times out of 10, you're right. That's my whole point about that. You have to understand that 9 times out of 10, you're probably right because this is what they're all about. They can't fucking help themselves. It's all about control and damnation.
We need cause this hypocrisy and stand up for the freedoms of individuals, for their automobiles, for what have you. So I can speak for a lot of them knowing that you will pry my 68 Mustang gear shift out of my cold, dead fingers. I yield back.
Hey, Meta.
And like I said, it's not just the 68 Mustang. It's the 68 Camaro. It's the 88 Camaro. It's the 98 Mustang. They want all that shit. You got to understand something. It only takes 20 years for a car to be considered an antique. You have to understand it only takes 20 years. My car is 5 years away from being an antique. So it's not just classic cars. They want it all. They want everything. So let's get into some more of this surveillance. I don't know whether or not if you all know this, but these modern cars, these newer cars, I say anything made from like 2018 and above, right? Pickup trucks, sedans, SUVs, whatever. They have SIM cards in them. Yeah, I'm gonna say that one more time. That fucking 2020 fucking Chevy Equinox you got, that 2022 Dodge Ram, Stellantis Ram, that you got, yeah, it's got a SIM card in it. You heard me right, a fucking SIM card. There's even been reports of people taking them out of the goddamn car and putting them in their cell phone. Can you believe that? Can you? You can't make this shit up. Listen to this, y'all. And I hope y'all stick with me to the end. I know I can come off kind of loony and fucked up, but there is a method to my madness, man. And the other thing you all have to understand is that I got a lot of shit floating in my head. Sometimes I be all over the place, and I know it. And it's because I don't know, like I start someplace and then I end up somewhere else, and then I end up coming back, and then, you know what I'm saying? Because I got so much shit rattling around up here. Like, it's crazy. But just, I hope y'all stick with me to the end, man. Listen to this shit. You can't make this up.
Your car is not a private place. Think of it like a rolling confessional booth that also tracks your location, takes video footage of everywhere you go, and even collects data about what you do, cozied up with someone in the back seat.
Did you hear what I said? I'm sorry, did you hear what she just said? I told you ain't gonna be no more getting no coochie in the back seat. You can forget it. It's over. It's over. Ain't no more going down on a man in the back seat of the car. Them fucking pictures will be on the bulletin board of your son's school tomorrow. You hear me? This is what they doing. Now, why you want to sit up here and watch these motherfucking people? Why you want to be a creeper and sit back and just be watching motherfuckers with the Jeeper creeper sniff and shit? You know what I'm saying? I done heard of a nigga having a third eye, but that nigga had a third nose. He had a third nostril. It's like, nigga, what you smelling out of that? What you, damn, man, you ugly than a motherfucker. What are you, nigga? With this third nose that you got. If your third eye is supposed to be a pineal gland, what the fuck do you call a third nostril? Why you over here sniffing the screen and shit while you over here looking at these people, man? Looking all up this woman's skirt and shit while she driving down the street. Like, what the fuck, man? But anyway, let's go.
Phone book, your call log, your text messages, your photos, your social media feeds, and every single place you've been. It is all up for grabs, and people want that information.
The data collection in modern cars is out of control.
And you wonder why. See, here it is. Everybody wants the latest technology. As I've explained to you guys before, technology is not necessarily a bad thing, but technology in the wrong hands is a horrible thing. Horrible. Yeah, I know you like that Android Auto and that Apple CarPlay and all this other shit. And, oh, you know, it's hands-free and it's so convenient. And, oh, my God, I've got Apple CarPlay. Motherfucker, they just know you just left your mistress' house. Nigga. I done told y'all you niggas gonna be cheating on your wife. You gonna have that fucking chick in the car with you. Your fucking car gonna shut down. And when it power back up, it's gonna start to drive itself. You won't be able to stop the steering wheel from moving. You won't be able to stop the gas pedal or the brake pedal from adjusting or doing whatever it is it's doing. And the motherfucker gonna drive you home and pull up in the fucking driveway of your house with your mistress in the car, turn the car off, and then activate the panic alarm. You know, the panic button that's on your fob and shit that you press, and then all of a sudden your alarm just go bananas and shit. That's what's gonna happen. The car gonna shut off, it's gonna activate the panic alarm. Your wife gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? And she gonna come out the house and see you sitting in the car with your mistress. I'm telling you, this is where this shit is going. Now, y'all might find that shit funny, but I don't. Straight up, I don't. Like I say, you wanna go down on Buddy and shit in the backseat? While you going down on Buddy, they gonna be taking pictures. When you take your son to school, when you come pick your son up from school tomorrow, they gonna be on the bulletin board. Them pictures are gonna be in the bulletin board of your kid's school. Straight up. Yep, like Miss Parker, a hoe, y'all. Straight up. That's where this shit is going. Y'all could think it's a joke if you want to.
How did we get here, where the invasiveness into our privacy got so bad? Why are we all apparently okay with this, that we let it happen? Well, simply put, no one really understood what was going on. And even worse, companies went out of their way to hide that they were collecting.
John Brown and Sally Joe just thought they was getting Apple CarPlay. They just, the car is equipped with Apple CarPlay. Cool, I can hook up my tablet and, my iPhone and da-da-da. You just thought your ass was getting Apple CarPlay. It's like, oh, no, you're getting the mark of the beast. And, ain't with that Bible shit. The mark of the beast is a metaphor. I'm not finna get in all that. I don't want to get off of the automotive thing. Like I told y'all once before, that whole thing about the Bible is an allegory. The shit is metaphorically speaking. The entire Bible. I don't give a fuck what parts you look at. It's all metaphorically speaking. It's just like going into the land of Nod. You have motherfuckers running around here thinking that the land of Nod is an actual place on earth, and it's not. The land of Nod is a fucking metaphor. Me and your ass went to sleep. And that is what has happened. People are literally fucking sleep. Oh, I got my Android Auto, and oh, it's so cool now. I can hook up my Galaxy Notes. And it's like, no, you just took the mark of the beast. Straight up, you one step away from full-blown total recall. But anyway.
This data. But let's back up a little. I initially intended to make just one video about car privacy, but the more I researched, the crazier it got, and this investigation soon exploded into a 6-part miniseries. Part 1 covered how the modern car is a smartphone on wheels, with hundreds of computers bolted on top that each collect all kinds of data about.
Didn't I tell y'all, man, that the motherfucking Cybertrucks and Teslas and all that other shit are fucking rolling Wi-Fi routers? I just told y'all that yesterday. And what she's trying to tell you is that it's not just the electric vehicles. Even your gas-powered engine. Even your gas-powered engine has all kind of devices and sensors and routers and shit on them. You could be driving a fucking pickup truck. You could be driving a Chevy Cruze. If you got side cameras and front and rear cameras and all this other shit, they taking a picture of every street you just drove past. As a matter of fact, those cameras, that the side cameras and the rear camera and the front camera, those motherfuckers can connect with the cameras that's on the street poles in the intersection. You know how you go through an intersection and you see them cameras up at the top of the fucking street poles and shit? What you think that shit is for? What you think that shit is for? If I'm not mistaken, I think it was New York. I seen something in New York where they're supposed to be taking pictures of people inside the car while they driving down the street. They want to start aiming the camera that's on the fucking pole directly through your front windshield. Now, they say it's to see whether or not if you're using your cell phone or this, that, and the other. But again, as I explained to y'all, if you ask me, that's just another way to look up a woman's skirt while she driving down the fucking street. Real creepy shit if you ask me.
Your activities and share it with countless entities. Your car manufacturer is collecting your information. Your information is collected by data brokers, selling it to goodness knows who. And governments are also collecting this information without needing a warrant. Mozilla summed it up well when they said that cars were the worst privacy category they'd ever reviewed. Our second video.
And the government being able to get attached to that information without a warrant comes from that bullshit. What was that shit that they passed after 9/11? Oh shit, what was it? The Patriot Act or the what the fuck was that shit they passed after 9/11? That's why they used 9/11. They needed 9/11 to pass that bull. What was it? The fucking Homestead Act or something? What was the name of that shit, man? Somebody drop down in the comment section and tell me that bullshit legislation that Bush signed after 9/11. I can't think of the name of it, man. But that's where that came from. It was the legislation that they passed back after 9/11. It also gave the ability to tap your phone without a warrant. And you know why they was able to tap your phone without a warrant? Because they no longer had to go through the phone companies and go over the phone lines and shit. They could just get your cell phone signal out of thin air. And all of that is connected to what she just said about how the government cannot get your driving data without a warrant. Again, this is against the Privacy Act of 1974. This is the reason for why it's so important that we study. Like how I told y'all, I've been watching the brother Rando and Jim Redwolf and them down there closely in Arizona since he been down there with Rando. And what I'm trying to express to y'all is that just like how them brothers then got together and they starting to build physically, like structures and level off the ground and all this other shit, we have to come together and build when it comes down to this type of shit. These type of executive orders and these fucking laws and statutes and bullshit that they got on the fucking books that should not be there. It's going to take more than just me to do it. And I've expressed this to y'all even in the Zoom meetings. I can't do this shit alone. When we in those Zoom meetings and you go your way and I go my way, I expect for you to put the work in. Just like a motherfucker want me to be serious. If I tell you I'm finna come, hey man, I'm on my way. I'll be down there in 12 hours. You expect for me to come unless there was some sort of fucking emergency or something. What you don't expect is for me to bullshit you. And I've been expressing this for the longest. We have to put an end to this shit. There's no way in hell you should be able to look up a motherfucking woman's skirt from a camera outside the goddamn car, man. There's no way in hell you're supposed to have so many sensors and cameras in that goddamn vehicle that you could take the temperature of every passenger in that fucking vehicle. There's no way you're supposed to be able to do that shit. No way.
Video in the series looked at what we can do when we sell a car to make sure that all our personal data doesn't go with it, and what to do when buying a used car to make sure that the previous owner doesn't still have remote access. In this video, I want to cover some of the ways that data is actually sent off your car and what you can do in each case to make your car more private. Be aware that there currently are no easy fixes to the problem of car surveillance. These steps will help, but I can't just say, just drive a brand A car, they're great for privacy, or just toggle off your horrendous surveillance overreach setting. But I will talk about things like the SIM cards in cars and whether or not you should remove yours. I'll also talk about how companies trick us into handing over our data and what we need to be aware of when we're at the dealership. I'll talk about other things that we can do to push back against this insane overreach that we've somehow normalized and expose the giant legal loophole for cars that makes it super easy for law enforcement to collect your data without a warrant. Hold on for a wild ride. The experts we interviewed for this story were Andrea, founder of the website Privacy for Cars, Woody, a renowned digital tracking expert and former instructor for a vehicle forensic company, and Sam, a famous car hacker who does awesome research into their vulnerabilities. To get started with understanding how to reduce the data collection in your car.
Now you see how she referred to dude as a car hacker. Notice that? Now that's a real thing. That's a term you may want to keep in your mental Rolodex. Because that's a real thing, hacking cars. As I expressed to you all before, you can't hack shit analog. Nothing. See, back in the day when you stole cars, give y'all a little brief history of back in the day, especially if y'all weren't in the streets back then. Back in the day, you needed a screwdriver to steal a car. Back in the day. And I'm talking about, back in the 80s and 70s and, shit like that. You needed a motherfucking screwdriver to steal a car. Straight up. That was it. And you be gone. And depending on how you did it, maybe some screwdrivers or a pair of pliers. And you fire up that motherfucking car and be out of there. Now you can sit up here and you can control these cars and you can sabotage these cars from a laptop sitting in your motherfucking grandmother's basement. You see what I'm saying? So that whole thing about being a car hacker, that shit is real. That's a real term. Straight up.
You first need to understand how the data gets shared off your vehicle. One way is by plugging things into your car.
If you truly care about yourself and your data, you should not be plugging into the USB ports.
When we connect our phones to the car ingests a lot of our information, like contacts, messages, photos, and this information can be shared with all kinds of third parties. But the information isn't just flowing from your phone to your car.
There's a lot of information that can flow both directions.
Your phone can ingest information about your car too. It turns out that your phone is another way that your car information gets shared, through car apps like Android Auto, through other apps on your phone, and your OS itself might also be collecting certain information and sharing it.
So it's very important to be very safe any connection you make to a vehicle.
Not connecting your phone can actually go a long way to reducing the amount of data that gets shared and the number of entities that data gets shared with. But there are other things you shouldn't connect to your car either. There are companies that will try to get you to plug their devices into your car. They might look like innocent black boxes, but they're actually siphoning data and sharing it with third parties.
I was actually buying a phone for my mom and we were at the Verizon store. The salesperson was like, we can give you a $40 discount if you just plug this device into your car.
Just plug this device into your car. What could possibly go wrong?
It was a little OBD port that had a SIM card, and it was, giving that information to the insurance company.
Wait, what? The insurance company is collecting data about your driving habits and activities directly from devices you plug into your...
Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but if you all have been on top of what's been going on lately, and particularly in this country, you will know within the last, excuse me, within the last, 16 months or so, everybody's insurance has skyrocketed. Everybody. I know people personally. You hear me? I know people personally that this is happening to. Motherfuckers' insurances went up by damn near 200% in the last 16 to 18 months. Could this have anything to do with it? Maybe. I don't know. We watched a segment yesterday where we discussed how, you know, they was tracking the one guy in the Chevy pickup truck. And, you know, people, when he found out that they was doing it, he did some research and he discovered there was a whole community on the internet talking about this. They had already been screwed by that system. A lot of them insurance rates had went up in the whole 9 yards. So maybe this has something to do with across the nation. Now, this ain't no one particular state. If you do some research on car insurance has risen by damn near 200% across the country. Not to mention home insurance, business insurance, any type of insurance, you know, health insurance, all that shit has went up. But in this case, when it comes down to car insurance, maybe this has something to do with it. You didn't just raise these people insurance for no motherfucking reason. Because in reality, what you have to understand is, yes, you're supposed to conduct yourself in an orderly fashion when you're out there on the road. You don't want to endanger nobody else's life and all this other shit. That is true. But what you all have to understand is that those speed limit signs and all that other shit, that's out there for the fucking policy officers and the so-called officials. That's a breach of trust. Like when you see cops running through red lights with no sirens and signals and shit on, and they blow through stop signs and all that other shit, that's a breach of trust. You got to remember they're public servants. This is the problem with them calling, with motherfuckers referring to them as leaders. Or when they call themselves a leader, a motherfucker don't check them and say, no, motherfucker, that is the opposite of a public servant. How in the fuck can you be a public servant and a leader at the same time? I don't understand. Can somebody explain to me how y'all changed the definition of this shit? I'd like to know. I didn't know that a public servant and a leader was synonymous. I didn't know that. This is the problem when we allow these motherfuckers to go unchecked. It's just that simple.
Car? Actually, insurance companies get data about your driving habits from all kinds of methods, including satellite communications and Bluetooth tags, which are other ways data is sent off your vehicle.
These insurance companies have the incentive to collect that data. It's being meshed into all these different like sales pipelines.
And one sales pipeline is that insurance companies partner with cell providers who convince customers to plug things into their cars, and then they all spy on your daily activities and make money from your data.
See, here's another thing that you guys may want to consider. Just think about this. Some years ago, the insurance company started a program where if you plug this device into your car and you drive a certain way and this, that, and the other, they'll lower your insurance every month. Well, it is my belief that nobody wanted that shit. It didn't work the way they wanted it to work, meaning not very many people volunteered to attach this shit to their fucking vehicle. And I knew this shit was coming to this. Sometimes being a mechanic and being a car enthusiast can be a scary thing because you know the ins and outs of things that are going on that a lot of people who don't know shit about cars don't know. I knew this type of shit was coming when they started attaching breathalyzers to people ignitions for motherfuckers who got popped off with DUIs and shit. The minute they start mandating that shit in certain states, I was like, yup, it's coming. Do you know I work with a motherfucker, man, that had that shit on his car? I think he had to have it on there for like a year or something. Straight up, where if he don't blow, he won't go. It's just that simple. If you don't blow into that motherfucker, you will not go. The car will not start. Again, you can't hack something analog. You know how difficult it would be to take an analog car with an analog engine and an analog ignition system and electrical system. Everything is analog. Do you know how difficult it would be to install a breathalyzer to the ignition of a car like that? That's very difficult. But when you're using digital shit, and all these digital things have signals and all this other shit, and you have component boxes and all these other things that can receive and send signals and communicate with other computer systems and shit, well then bam, there you go. That's how you get a breathalyzer installed to the ignition of your damn car. That's one of the reasons for why they don't want you to have to turn the key to start the ignition. See, everybody thought, oh, it's just convenient. Yeah, I ain't got to pull my keys out of my pocket and da-da-da-da, woo-woo, right? And it's like, yeah, that is convenient. I'm not going to say it's not. You know what I'm saying? Having a remote start to your car in the wintertime, like now, it's fucking, I don't know, maybe 30 degrees here in Chicago, maybe. We got down to, I think, like 28 last night or something. So yeah, having an electric start on your car, yeah, that's a good thing for the wintertime. You press the fire button, your shit fire up, and you stay in the crib for another few minutes, and you go out to your car is warm. But just how you was able to start that car electronically without, having to stick a key in the ignition, that mean they can turn it off electronically. Like how I told you with the drive-by-wire and the brake-by-wire shit that they have out here, man, these motherfuckers will crash your ass into a mountain. I swear to God, run your ass right into the back of a semi-truck, your shit won't stop. Remember when the Priuses? Remember some years back with the Prius? Motherfuckers were saying all of a sudden they brakes just didn't work. They smashing the brake pedal in that Prius and the motherfuckers just wouldn't stop. Hello? You know why that was happening? Because it wasn't getting a signal. It wasn't getting a signal. See, if you didn't replace the cable in the plunger and all the other things that you need when you press the gas pedal down to make the calipers press on the brake pads, which in turn the brake pads grab the rotor. See, when you take that kind of shit away and you replace it with a digital system, if you lose the signal, that's it. You smashing the brakes in the Prius, but the computer don't know that. You know why? Because the signal that's on the brake pedal that's supposed to send that signal to the computer to let it know that it's time to slow this motherfucker down is not working. It's disconnected. I don't know if y'all remember that with the Priuses from about 15 years ago. That was a big thing. Things crashing. Motherfuckers like, it just sped up. I couldn't do anything. Priuses have black boxes. The Toyota Prius, they got some sort of black box, some sort of transponder in there. That's how they was able to know that the people weren't bullshitting. That's how they was able to know, like, no, really, this guy really didn't have any fucking brakes. So you can't do that shit with an analog system. Shit is crazy, man.
How on earth would people opt into this?
You don't really think too much about it. You're like, well, if I can get a $40 discount on a new iPhone, that's good for me, right?
You're not really told what's going on.
Yeah, just like you got that free Big Mac from McDonald's for taking the COVID shot. And look at your ass now.
No data is being collected, or who gets access to that data.
And then people see their insurance rates going up.
But still, they don't put two and two together that this was a result of
But people insurance rates are going up that don't have that fucking device attached to their car. Hence is why I was alluding to the fact that when they first started doing this shit several years back, most people probably didn't participate the way they wanted them to. Who in the fuck want that shit attached to their fucking car? Nobody.
Voluntarily plugging things into their car. Luckily, we can connect the dots, and by choosing not to connect external devices, whether by Bluetooth, USB, or OBD port, you actually take a big step towards keeping a lot of your data more private. Next, your car also transmits information via radio waves sent from the car itself.
Your car is a cell phone. Your car is a wireless hotspot. Your car is a Wi-Fi receiver.
I told y'all that, man. Your goddamn car is a rolling Wi-Fi router. Now, mind you, most of us, we have our cell phone in the car with us. On top of that, like, this shit is ridiculous. It really and truly is. And what I'm talking about is the perversion of it. It's like, see, here's the thing. The original Lone Wolf know they have to do all this shit to maintain some sort of control. The original Lone Wolf know they're doing this type of shit because they're losing control. The original Lone Wolf know that they're not shit without doing this kind of shit. You run into most of these motherfuckers in the streets, you can knock them over very easily. And I'm not trying to advocate no violence or nothing, but I'm just saying the vast majority of these motherfuckers are not physically capable of taking a lot of us on. They're not. This is why they got to go get their fucking monkeys and the jackboot thugs and the fucking stormtroopers and shit. This is why they have to do that. This is why they got to dispatch their military and they got to dispatch their policy officers and all this other shit. Because without them, what the fuck they gonna do? They can't do shit to the people. They don't have the power that you think they have, but that still don't change the fact that what they doing is evil as hell.
In your car is a Bluetooth transmitter and receiver.
Wi-Fi actually isn't a common way for data to be sent off your vehicle, but it is still worth considering. If you connected your car to your home Wi-Fi, you can disconnect it and forget the network. And it's also possible your car has been programmed to automatically connect to other networks too.
One of the things you can do when you go to your dealership is you can try to shut your Wi-Fi off.
You can also ask them if your car has any remembered networks and whether they can forget those networks. They might not be able to do this, but it's worth a conversation. Now, a big way that data is sent off your car is via...
This is going to open the door for the black market to be tremendous. Oh my God. You think that they trying to push so-called illegal guns on the black market on the streets and shit? They trying to make that out to be like a big ass deal? Can you imagine what the black market would be for something like this? To get around the software and to bypass shit so you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, the other thing that you all need to pay attention to is that they already have systems in these fucking police cars. You know, like license plate scanners and shit. They already got shit set up in the car to where they'll know if your shit is turned off or not. You know what I'm saying? You'll have to replace it with a ghost signal. And it'll have to be a damn good ghost signal. You see what I'm saying? And anybody who deal with computers, you should already know what the fuck I'm talking about. Anybody who's a signal expert and people who deal with some sort of computers on a quantum level, y'all already know what I'm talking about. So the shit is going to get out of hand. It's already out of hand. This shit's going to get worse. Like I said, when people start losing control of their car and shit, like in the movie Left Behind, The World Left Behind or whatever, the fucking bullshit ass Obama movie that came out. Remember that scene when all the motherfucking Teslas was just crashing and shit? What you think they was trying to tell you? Remember that scene when they was trying to leave and shit? And all the motherfucking cars was just crashing and shit. They were swerving, trying to get out the way. Remember when the motherfucking ship just came up on the beach? That big ass ocean liner? You do know they drive themselves, right? Cruise ships, ocean liners, jumbo jets and all that shit. Boeing 777s and all that. You do know they drive themselves, right? You do know once they get in the motherfucking air, the pilot is not controlling that plane. You do know that, right? I'm going to say it one more time. When your ass take a flight from LaGuardia to Dallas, once that plane take off from LaGuardia and it get up to cruising altitude, you do know the fucking pilot does not control that plane. It flies itself. Now somebody come in the motherfucking comments and fact check me. Come in the comments and tell me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Straight up. The pilot's primary job of being in that fucking plane is to convince you that he the one that's flying the plane. That's his number one fucking job. He's a mannequin. That's what your pilot and your co-pilot is. They fucking mannequins. They look no different than them some bitches you be standing in the window when you finna go in the fucking store of a mall. Fucking mannequins standing there all dressed up and shit. That's all they are. That's their number one focus as a pilot. To trick you into thinking they flying that goddamn plane. They do not fly that plane. The coordinations to where they going and all this other shit is set. It's already set. And this is exactly what they're trying to do with cars. You got to remember, the definition of a motor vehicle is a self-propelled vehicle. Self-propelled. You do know what that means, right? A self-propelled vehicle is a vehicle that drives itself. Look it up. Somebody fact check me and tell me that that ain't what they say in their bullshit statutes and laws that the definition of a motor vehicle is. Somebody fact check me and say, nigga, you don't know what you're talking about. This is one of the reasons for why they're pushing so hard for electric vehicles. Because at that point, you will be like a Tesla. A Tesla is a motor vehicle. A Tesla is a motor vehicle. And it's very difficult to say that you're not driving one when they clearly tell you what a fucking motor vehicle is. It's self-prepared. Don't them Teslas drive themselves? All right, then.
The SIM. Yes, your car has a SIM card in it. You could ask the dealer if they will disconnect the SIM for you. They almost surely won't, though.
If a dealer won't do it, you're gonna have to unscrew like the head unit and then actually physically remove the SIM card.
It's not easy, and actually where to find the SIM completely depends on what kind of car you have.
I've seen some of them where it's like kind of underneath the glove box, and I've seen other ones where it's like in the head unit itself. You're probably gonna have to Google tutorials for like every different car.
For example, on a Tesla Model X, you need to remove the covering from under the infotainment unit, then reach your hand in blindly to find a SIM card port. While certainly not impossible, it's clearly not made for consumer access. In a BYD...
Now, mind you, you got to understand these are the same SIM cards that are in cell phones. There have been reports of people taking them out of the car, like how you saw the dude taking out of the one Tesla. There's been reports of people taking them out of their goddamn car and putting them in their cell phone and it work. They can make calls, they can receive them, they can text, everything. The shit work. Now, quite naturally, that data will go back to they, whatever. But still, this is the shit that these... this is the shit that these people are on, man. Straight up. It makes absolutely no sense. Okay, this is going to be my last segment that I'm going to do for this video. There will be a part 3 because there are some more things that I want to get into. I want to do a side-by-side comparison of a full-blown electric vehicle and versus a full-blown gas vehicle. I want to do it on a real car level. You hear me? On a real car level, like real cars that are out in the real world. And I also want to do it on an RC car basis. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to stick around for the third video, because that's what that third installment is going to be about. We're going to compare gas engines to full-blown electric ones on a real life level, meaning cars that everybody drive every day, and also the the RC car world. Like, for example, let me show y'all real quick. Oh. See that right there? This is a gas one. Just so y'all know, I don't own any electric ones. Matter of fact, here's the gas here. Both of these two blue cans is gas. Here's the radio. I've taken the battery pack out. This battery pack acts like the battery in your vehicle. It serves as the primary power source. Okay? So, I want to do this this little segment here, which talks about drive-by-wire and versus the throttle ignition. Okay? Listen to what this man is going to tell you in terms of the difference and how it works. Like I told y'all in the video I did yesterday, back in the day with old school cars, you can raise the hood, have the car running, and you can grab this little cable and you can pull on it and that will rev your engine, because that was connected to the throttle, which was connected to the gas pedal in your car. Well, they switched everything. Now everything is digital. You don't need a cable or nothing like that to accelerate your engine. Okay? Hence is how it can be hacked. See, you can't hack nothing like that. You know, when your throttle is connected to a cable that's connected to the gas pedal, you can't hack that sitting in your motherfucking grandmama's basement in your boxer shorts. It's analog. It can't be hacked. But when it goes 100% digital, but yet it serves the same purpose of the analog system, then you can hack it. All right? Listen to this.
Guys, today, Super simple topic. We're talking about drive-by-wire throttle bodies and cable throttle bodies. All right, guys, pretty simple topic today, just so people kind of know the terminology that's out there. So, there are two main types of throttle bodies you're going to see on common vehicles. Number one are cable throttle bodies. They're usually on older vehicles, not so much in modern vehicles as of this time. And then number two are drive-by-wire throttle bodies. Basically, this is a mechanical versus electronic setup. The drive-by-wire cars do not have any sort of throttle that are directly connect your foot to the actual throttle body. A lot of people don't like this because it says, I don't feel it's connected to the car. There's a little bit of a delay in there, which sometimes there is. And the car, it allows the car to modulate itself if you don't have full control over it. 9 times out of 10, it's not a worry. As I'm sure like our LNF, LSJ guys know, it's our LTG, Sonic, all pretty much modern vehicles that come out drive-by-wire, even our Series 330 ones. It's not a problem. The cars react fine. You get used to it.
It's not a problem until it is a problem, guys. It's not a problem until they get into your system and they start screwing with the signal while the car is operating. Okay? Any signal expert will tell you that can be hacked, that can be sabotaged, it can be corrupted, it could be perverted. Any signals expert will tell you this. Especially if you know motherfuckers who dealt with signals and shit, they were in the military, especially because they deal with very sophisticated signals. For example, dealing with the Air Force or motherfuckers that were in the Navy on those destroyers and them fucking aircraft carriers and shit. Especially now in 2024, the systems that they use, the signals and shit that they transmit and receive is very, very, very sophisticated. The motherfuckers in them submarines and shit, the signals and shit that they send and transmit, and it's incredible, man. I'm telling you, especially now in 2024, you have no idea. Their weapon systems and shit that's on them destroyers and shit, you have no idea of the type of signals and shit that they use. Any signal expert will tell you that this is dangerous.
And then especially with tuning, the delays and things like that are taken out. So it's something where, you'll get a throttle body, you'll plug the harness into it, and then that's how your vehicle is connected to that. So that's very simple for the drive-by-wire one. The cable throttle means that there's actually a cable setup that goes directly from the pedal to the actual throttle body. This is common on the Series 2 3800. Obviously older vehicles and that, but usually more so the older vehicles. This gives you a really connected feel to the car. This is when you see people going under the hood and flipping their throttle body. They have a lever. Those are cable throttle cars. Those will allow you to say, go.
And as I explained to you, that can't be hacked. In order for you to rev that engine, you have to be at the car. In order for you to do anything as far as the RPMs, revving them or whatever, you have to be at that car to do it. Whether if you sitting in the car, blipping the gas pedal, or whether if you under the hood pulling on that little lever, you have to be at the car to make that happen. When you go digital, like the one he just showed you prior, you could be sitting in your grandmother's basement, man, and hack into that fucking signal and corrupt it. You could shut it off to where you're pressing the gas pedal, but the shit won't accelerate. Or the shit accelerate without your permission. I'm just saying, man.
Your hood and rev your car for the most part, as well as it takes the PCM, it takes the electronics out of the equation. So, when you want to floor it, you'll stay a while open throttle, and, you don't have something trying to limit you with traction control or things like that. So it's a much more connected setup. And some people actually really prefer the feel of them versus the drive-by-wire, which can, like I said, have a few delays here and there. And for some people, it just doesn't have the connected feel. Just to kind of more so explain why so many companies are using drive-by-wire throttle bodies these days is for more control directly from the manufacturer. So in the past, with throttle cable cars, if the car wanted you to stop being, frankly, an asshole, the only thing they can do is pull fuel and pull timing, where it can hurt an engine given the right circumstance. Now, if you have a new car, most PCMs are torque based, and so what they can do is actually limit how much throttle you're giving the car, as well as kind of help you not stall the car. Let's say in a manual car.
Now, he just explained to you the control from the manufacturer from a mechanical standpoint. All right, I'm going to rewind that before I even say what I was about to say. Let me go back like 15 seconds. I want y'all to hear him say that again.
Now, if you have a new car, most PCMs are torque based, and so what they can do, an asshole, why so many companies are using drive-by-wire throttle bodies these days is for more control directly from the manufacturer. So in the past, with throttle cable cars, if the car wanted you to stop being, frankly, an asshole, the only thing they can do is pull fuel and pull timing, where it can hurt an engine given the right circumstance.
It can hurt an engine by making it run too lean or too rich. Running too lean is when it's not getting enough fuel. It's getting more air than fuel. And when it runs too rich, it's getting more fuel than it's getting air. All right? You need a balance. You need a balance of fuel, air, and a spark. You need some sort of spark, which in our case, in most modern cars, is going to be your spark plugs itself. You need those three combinations in order to make it work. So now you can retard the timing and the fueling in an analog system, the one with the cable, right? But you can do it electronically once you move away from the analog shit to the digital. Now, that's what he's talking to you about in regards to, from a mechanical standpoint, the mechanical physics of how that year, make, and model car performs. That's what he's talking to you about from that standpoint of control. I'm talking to you about it from a standpoint of control that as long as you know anything about computers and signals, in the wrong hands, this is dangerous. Now, we already know how all of these companies and these fucking governments around the world, they bloodthirsty. They drunk off of control. We know that. So when you add this to what he's talking to you about right now, that equals enslavement. Like I told y'all, pretty soon the motherfucking car just take your ass to the police station. You miss one fucking payment, your car start up by itself in the middle of the night and drive to the repo man. This shit will get rid of the repo man. You hear me? Who the fuck finna sit up here and take all their wheels off before they go in the house every night before they go to bed, knowing that their car being repossessed? Who finna do that? Because that's the only thing that's gonna keep the car from running. And then if you miss a payment, they'll probably have a mechanism on the lug nuts or something where you can't even fucking take them off. This is where we're headed. You 2 days late on your car note. 2 fucking days, man, and your car just started up in the middle of the night and drove the fuck back to the dealership. I'm just saying.
Now, if you have a new car, most PCMs are torque based, and so what they can do is actually limit how much throttle you're giving the car, as well as kind of help you not stall the car. Let's say in a manual car, if you almost stall the car, you let off too fast, or you let the clutch out too fast and you don't give enough throttle, the car will keep the throttle open so it doesn't stall itself. It's just, something from the fact that they can have a little more control over, as well as try to save the life of the vehicles. So if you're like constantly, even driving down the road, just kind of on off the throttle, just constantly, giving it 100%, 0%, 100%, 0%, basically driving like an asshole, the car won't really let you do that. It'll kind of modulate the throttle, to kind of keep it consistent for the vehicle.
Now, also, too, one of the downsides to that is that those sensors need to be replaced often. Remember I told y'all that the electric car, all of the sensors they started putting in cars about 25 years ago was a precursor to the electric car. This is why people like BMW and Audi are still having problems, and Mercedes are still having problems to this day. Here it is. They won't follow in the Japanese footsteps when it come down to this shit to save their fucking life. They just won't follow in their footsteps. To this day, you buy Mercedes, you buy Audis, you buy BMWs and shit, and they're sensor prone. Sensor prone. Meaning the sensor went out on this motherfucker. Here it is. The car ain't mechanically fucked up. It's digitally fucked up. This is a digital problem. He has a sensor. It's like, but Lone Wolf, his car won't run. It's like, yeah, because the sensor that broke, it controls the ignition. It controls the throttle, the brakes. It controls everything. No, it's not going to run. No. That's what the boy was telling you in the Fast and the Furious movie. That's what he was trying to tell him when he's like, man, I'll try to get this shit up out of here, but good luck on that because this shit is tied into everything. That means it's not going to run. That's going back to what y'all heard me say about the black market. The black market could be tremendous for this shit. You think the black market is running rampant when it comes down to illegal guns and shit on the street? Ooh, don't let the government get their way when it comes to this shit. The black market for this would be sickening. And to this day, BMW, Mercedes, and Audi is still prone to that, where your car either don't run or run like shit because of a sensor. Not because of a bad piston, not because of a blown head gasket, not because your transmission coolant line is leaking, but because of a piece of fucking plastic. And something else that those manufacturers I just named is known for, they bury the fucking sensor. That very sensor that's fucked up, that's keeping the car from running or is running like shit, they bury it. You got to take off 4 different parts just to get to it. Hence is how they were showing you how they took the Tesla thing apart to get the SIM card out. It's just similar to that. They put the sensor in a very obnoxious, obscured ass spot, and they do it on purpose. The engineers of BMW, the engineers of Mercedes, they do that shit on purpose. And I was trying to tell people 25 years ago, you guys have no idea how many BMWs and shit that I told that were sensor-related problems. Range Rovers. And that's when I learned that Range Rovers are heavy as fuck. Like those Range Rover Sports and shit. Y'all know them trucks weigh like 5,000 pounds. I watched a Range Rover push my mans down a spiral ramp of a fucking parking structure. You know, one of those parking structures where you go around on a winding ramp and it take you all the way up to the top and all this other shit. We was over there by, damn, I can't think of what that hospital is right there off of Chicago and like just fucking east of Michigan Avenue. I can't think of what that hospital is right there, but there's a parking structure that's like 12 floors high that is right adjacent to it. You know what I'm saying? And I pulled up to the call in a flatbed. So I can't fit in the parking structure with a flatbed. Now my man's was already up on like the 6th floor with Buddy in a wheel lift tow truck. You know what I'm saying? Once I come up there, we study working. We trying to get it started. We can't get it running. We know that it's a sensor. That's all that's wrong with this Range Rover. It's a fucking sensor that's keeping it from starting. So we gave up. We like, fuck it, bro. We just gonna have to tow you. We gonna drag this motherfucker down to the main level. I'm already outside the front door with the fucking flatbed, and that's how we gonna tow you. My man's hooked him up on the wheel lift and started to go down the spiral casing to come back down to the first floor of the parking structure. The whole goddamn Range Rover pushed this nigga's truck down this spiral staircase. I'm looking at his back brakes locked up. His shit was locked up. It was pushing this motherfucker down this spiral staircase. All because of a sensor. All because of a sensor. Let me give you another example of what these sensors do. And a lot of people may feel like this is a good thing because, you know, it's about the security of your car. First off, the only car that I've never been able to break in, because I can break in cars without leaving scratches and marks and shit on them. You know what I'm saying? I have the break-in kit that, you know, the cops can use, tow truck drivers and shit can use to get inside of your car. The only car I ain't never been able to break in was one of my old cars. The car I got before the one I got now. I used to have a 2014 Acura TL with the SHR wheel drive. I got a call one night for a car that was like that, but it was a base model. It just had the front wheel drive and it had all wheel drive. I couldn't get in that man's car. It took me almost an hour before I gave up. It was cold as shit that night too, on the north side of Chicago. I'll never forget it. I just couldn't get in this man's car. My difficulty with him was because of the way Honda positions their unlock and lock button on the armrest and shit. The way they position it is very hard to get to with the long reach. Right? It's real difficult to get to. You can't even see it. So you don't know if you don't even know if you're pressing the button. You don't know if you're pressing lock or unlock or nothing. Plus, they have a system within the car. Like Acura has it, Range Rover has it, Mercedes have it, and I'm almost positive BMW and maybe Lexus may have it too, but I've never had to break in those. They have a sensor within that car that has a default setting when it thinks that it's trying to be stolen, right? So, for example, I pulled up to a grocery store parking lot one day. Chick was driving a Mercedes. She left the keys in the car's still running, but the doors is locked, right? So the way the security system is set up in that car and set up in Acura and a couple of other ones, where if the car detects that you're trying to unlock the door, but from in the inside, but it doesn't detect that nobody's in the car, it'll automatically relock the doors. So the way it works is like this. It's pressure sensor driven. There are pressure sensors in the seats of your car, the driver's seat and the passenger seat alongside the driver's seat. There are sensors in the car. That's the reason why you keep hearing that doom, 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 doom when you don't fucking put the seatbelt on. It just keeps going off and shit. Jim Redwood got a bad fucking habit of doing that shit when he be driving and shit. It's like, bro, put your seatbelt on. I know you hear that shit, right? But you know why his shit is doing that? It's because there are pressure sensors in his driver's seat. So every time he sits down, the car knows that he's in the car. It knows that. So because the seatbelt is connected to the ignition and is connected to the gear shifter, every time Jim Redwood get in his truck and he pull off, if he don't put that seatbelt on, the seatbelt is telling the computer this nigga don't have his seatbelt on. The computer already know the car is moving because he's already threw it in gear and he's driving. So the computer know the car is moving, but the seatbelt then told the computer this nigga don't have his seatbelt on. So when Red be in his car making videos and you hear that dun-dun, 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 that's because the seatbelt is telling the computer he don't have his seatbelt on. So those same pressure sensors that are in his seat is connected to the security system. I'm just giving you guys an example of how systems and signals and different type of transponders and how this shit works. So the pressure sensors that's in Jim Redwood's seat is connected to the security system, right? So now keep in mind the pressure sensors are activated once you put enough pressure on the seat. That tells the car that somebody's sitting in the seat. Now you can also trick the system too by putting some super duper heavy shit in the seat. Because I think the weight limit it's got to be, oh, guys, don't quote me. I think like 75 pounds or something is when it triggers the pressure sensor. I think it's like 75 pounds and greater. That's how they know somebody's sitting in the seat. So that pressure sensor is connected to the security system. So if nobody is in the car, if nobody's in the car pressure sensors are not activated, which that tells the car that nobody's in the car, right? They don't have them in the back seat, so don't pay no attention to the back seat. It's only the front. If you're pressing the unlock button from inside the car and yet the pressure sensors are not activated to tell the car's computer that somebody's in the car, the pressure sensors will activate the alarm system. So while I'm sticking my long reach inside the car, hitting the unlock button, the pressure sensors are telling the alarm system, hey man, nobody's in this fucking car. Nobody's in the car. This door shouldn't be trying to unlock from the inside. So the security system said, oh, ain't nobody in the car. Ain't that a bitch? Somebody trying to steal this car. So the minute you hit the unlock button with the long reach, the security system automatically locks the shit right back. And I'm talking about you watch it do it. You watch the tab flip back in the other direction. You know how you hit your unlock button and the tab button, the lock tab, it'll switch in a different direction when you hit the unlock, and then when you hit the lock button, it switch back in the opposite direction. Well, that's what the security system do. When you hit the unlock button from inside the car and the car doesn't detect anybody inside the car, the minute you hit the unlock button, the security system be like, no, bitch. And it locks it right back. And it does it in like 0.2 seconds. So I'm standing out here with this woman. She's got a Mercedes. And I'm telling her, I'm like, look, this is going to be kind of dangerous what we're doing, because I got to put some pressure in between your door and the door seal. And we use this little pump up little bag thingy. It looks very similar to a blood pressure joint. You know how they wrap the fucking thing around your arm and they squeeze this little thing and keep pumping and keep pumping and keep pumping and shit until it looks very similar to that. As a matter of fact, the hand pump is identical to the hand pump that you see on a blood pressure joint. It looks identical. And what it does is it creates air. It fills up air in that bag. And with it being in between the door and the door seal, that creates a wedge in between the door and the door seal. So you're able to get the long reach in there. So I'm telling, I say, look, the only way we're going to be able to get in this motherfucker is you need to put your hand on this car handle, on the door handle. The minute you hear me unlock that door, you got to yank it open, because if you don't, it's going to lock back. Now, I say the danger with that is that I got to put a little bit of pressure on your door seal and the door itself. That's going to apply pressure to the windshield, not the windshield, the driver's window. Because I'm on the driver's side. I'm trying to open the driver's side door. I said it's going to put a little pressure on that window. It could shatter if that happens. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit the amount of pressure that I put on it, because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, break the window. Because the way it's supposed to work, when you pump up that little bag and apply that pressure, once you get the door unlocked, you're supposed to release the pressure before you open the door, and that prevents the driver's door from shattering. Well, in this situation, I can't do that, because the minute I unlock the door, the security system like, nope, you ain't getting in here, and it locks it right back. And I'm talking about you can stand there and watch it do it. And she's like, why is it doing that? Right? You know, some young little pale-skinned girl. Why does it keep doing that? It's like, because the car think we're trying to steal it. It doesn't know it's me and you. It don't know you're the owner. It thinks somebody's trying to steal your car. And she goes, oh, wow. So we finally got the motherfucker open. Finally. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. I had no idea. Because I'm explaining this shit to her as I'm trying to get it open, because we had to do it 3 or 4 times. Because each time she was too slow on grabbing the car door handle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, baby, you got to grab this motherfucker. You ready? 1, 2, 3. You know what I'm saying? And she would miss it every time. And the door would lock back on its own. So my point in ending this video, if y'all made it to the end, is to tell you that this is with these computer sensors and with these signals and all this other shit, this is what it does. I'm not a signal expert, so I may not be able to explain it to you all in a way that somebody is a signal expert in the military or something. You know, so I might not be able to do it in that way. But I'm telling you here and now, it's all about those signals. And they talk to each other. They talk to each other literally. Like I told you, when you see red driving down the street and you study hearing this joint going off, that's literally the car's computer telling them, nigga, we know the car moving. You ain't got your seatbelt on. Put your seatbelt on. And this is after the seatbelt, the computer chip sensor that's in the seatbelt talk to the fucking car's computer to let him know that he ain't put his seatbelt on. Because the system knows that the car is moving. It already knows that. He's already threw it in gear. He's already given the gas. He's already stopped at 2 lights and all this other shit. So the computer know the car is not moving. That the car is moving. They know that. But his seatbelt sensor, after the pressure sensors in his seat, after he set his ass in his seat, he activated those pressure sensors. Once the car started moving, the pressure sensors in the seat talks to the sensor in the seatbelt. The seatbelt sensor talks to the computer sensor. And that's why you hear that ding dong, ding dong, ding dong every time he driving down the street and he don't have his seatbelt on. So I'm just giving you an example of signals and communication. That's all I'm trying to do. And everybody car do it. Hell, my car tell you to put your seatbelt on. Like you'll literally hear a voice telling you to put your motherfucking seatbelt on. Literally. So I'm just trying to give you guys an idea. All right, we're going to do part 3. We're going to get into a side-by-side comparison of how electric vehicles differ from gas vehicles on a real car as well as the RC cars. We're going to get into that. All right. Now, this video was long as shit. Hopefully, y'all made it to the end. Much love to all of my subscribers. To be aware is to be alive. And again, this is for educational purposes only. All right. Much love to everybody.